We have the presentation now. This is on the role of the post during the Panama migration. And the presenter is the Deputy Postmaster General in the National Postal Affairs and Business Development, Mrs. Margaret Ashby. Mrs. Ashby is presently acting in that position. And in October 2012, Mrs. Ashby was appointed to that post as the Assistant the Assistant Postmaster General. She represented Barbados at the Universal Postal Union Conference in Bern, Switzerland, for the Postal Operations Council meeting in April 2013 and 14. There she participated in discussions with respect to regulations which had the potential to negatively impact small island developing states like Barbados and less developed countries. The Universal Postal Union is the United Nations body whose responsibility is to facilitate cooperation and collaboration among the 192 member countries within the Union. Mrs. Ashby has been in the Postal Service for over 30 years. During this time, she has worked in all sections of the post, with the exception of the parcel post and the philatelic bureau. She has conducted extensive research on the Postal Service and has made recommendations which resulted in improved quality of service. She has conducted extensive research on the Inland Post and in collaboration with the Barbados Museum mounted a postal exhibition in 1991. Her dream is to one day mount a permanent postal exhibition at the main post office. As part of the 150th anniversary of the Inland Post, Mrs. Ashby conceptualized and produced the commemorative stamp issue bearing the same name. Her research on the Express Mail Service resulted in the revamping of the International Express Mail Service and the launching of the Internal Inland Express Service, now renamed Post Express Couriers. Through this service, the Post Office delivers any item posted in Barbados from Cove Bay in St. Lucie to Bottom Bay in St. Philip within 24 hours. Ms. Ashby loves plants, and this can be seen from the array of plants found in her office and at the main stamp counter at the General Post Office. I present you Mrs. Ashby.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me welcome our Postmaster General, Mr. Joe Braffett. Mr. Braffett, if you would just wait. Also with us today, we have Ms. Deborah Small. Ms. Small is the manager of our Philatelic Bureau. The Bureau's responsibility, as you would have heard in the video, is for the design, concepts, and research of all of our stamp issues. Also with us today, as part of our team, we have Mr. Hudson Ford, Mr. Ford, and Ms. Pamela Grant. These officers are manning our booth, and we want to encourage you. You would have seen the array of stamps that we have, and many of those issues are still available that you can purchase them. So after this presentation, I'm hoping that you will make your way to our booth and purchase some of our stamps, and also to look out for the special issue, the 100th anniversary of the Panama Canal, which would be coming, the launch will be on the 15th of August. For those persons who may be traveling before then, you can also reach us at our website, which is www.bps.gov.bb. And also in our booth, you will be able to get literature, which will also be giving you additional information. The delivery of the mail is one of the oldest communication systems in existence. From the time of the Roman emperors to your next door neighbor. The post has provided the vital communication link. This is not achieved at any small price. For over the years, men have lost their lives trying to protect this priceless treasure. It is then no wonder that from the inception of the delivery service to Barbados, commanders of ships were issued with strict instructions in relation to their handling of the mail. Their primary duty was to safeguard the mail, to outsail rather than engage an enemy, and if in danger of being overpowered, the mail was to be weighted and sunk. To fully understand the role of the post in the Panama migration, it would be necessary to first look at the establishment of the mail delivery system in Barbados, and also in relation to the services which were introduced that later supported the Barbadian migrants. And so we need to go back in time. And I'm going to ask you this morning, I'm going to be carrying you on a time tunnel. And I want you to go with me, and I want you to imagine what it would have been like way back in the 1600s. Because it was 36 years after the settlement of Barbados that a postal delivery system was established here from the London General Post Office. Now the function of this system, this post office service, was to facilitate the conveyance of letters and documents between the colonists and their family or business interests in England. And we would have recognized that at that time, that those persons, and I have to change my script as this morning, I heard that we're not to say slaves, but we're to say the enslaved. So the enslaved persons in Barbados would not have had any reason to communicate through the post. Now it was at the beginning of the postal service in Barbados, the mail came to Barbados by packets, and these packets were fast vessels. And imagine living in an age today that we write a letter on our screen and we just click it and it's there to the person. But back then, mail would have been carried by sailboats, and it took approximately 31 days for that boat to reach Barbados. In later years, with the introduction of other vessels, this time was reduced to 21 days. And this same vessel not only came to Barbados, but this vessel traveled throughout the region, and it returned to England about 2 months later. However, this early mail service did not facilitate the delivery of mail within Barbados. And this may be sort of difficult to you to comprehend, that in an age when there was no public transportation, there weren't any cars, there weren't any motorcycles, that persons would have had to travel to Bridgetown, and then believing that in some cases it would have been the hired servant who might have had to walk all the way to Bridgetown to collect that mail for their masters. There were a number of attempts to set up an inland postal service in Barbados, but this was only achieved in 1852 when the post office was inaugurated, and this was after the passing of a Post Office Act. Now by this time, you would understand that not much would have changed in regard to the average Barbadian, and so the need for the postal service would have been limited. And it is believed that even if they had to communicate, that a number of them would not have been able to write and would have had to ask the assistance of others to do that for them. Now, with the inauguration of the Inland Postal Service, lots of things changed. First, that an office was opened in each of the 10 rural parishes. along with the main office being in Bridgetown. And I'm told that it was located in Lancaster Street, and this is a tiny street in front of Cape Shepherd. In addition to that, there were also 30 letter receiving houses which were also set up at this time. And I would like to let you know that a letter receiving house was a place designed for accepting mail, and also maybe you would have been able to get a few stamps there. Because picture it, that in the whole parish of St. James, there's only one post office. It would have been quite difficult for the average citizen to go to the post office and to receive mail, or not to receive the mail because the post would have got it, but to go to the post office and post the letter. And so these receiving houses were located throughout the island, making it easier for the citizens to be able to post their mail. Another first for Barbados and probably the region was the addition of 44 mail carriers, what we refer to today as postmen. These were individuals who were hired to provide universal door-to-door delivery within Barbados. This was a new concept, and I'm not sure where it would have come from, because this system of door-to-door delivery was not present in England, and it was only achieved in England 45 years after Barbados. And I think that we can give our hand to ourselves a little cheer for that. We were ahead of them. This was the beginning of our postal network, which is still in existence 162 years later. It should be noted that Barbados is among the few countries of the world which still offers a door-to-door delivery service. And in case that you may not really comprehend what I'm saying because you're accustomed to your postman coming to you and bringing the mail to you, but in many countries of the world, mail is not delivered like that. Even within our region, persons have to go to the post office to collect their mail. But the door-to-door delivery service that Barbados Post offer is that wherever you are located, we deliver that mail to you. Barbadians now had easy access to communicate with each other and the world. This would certainly have been a very important achievement in an era where there was no form of public transportation. 9 years after its establishment, the Inland Post extended its services to include registered mail and the conveyance of remittances, or the sending of money through the post. This was done through the Postal Money Order Service. It is this service which was later credited for facilitating remittances from Panama. By 1870, the post moved into the western wing of the public building, sharing the building with the Chief Office of Customs. In 1881, Barbados joined the Postal Union, now known as the Universal Postal Union. This resulted in an immediate reduction in postage rates, especially to England. In 1886, the Barbados Post inaugurated an international parcel service with England, and a similar arrangement was reached with the United States in 1887, as the Post continued its expansion into other services. By 1889, the first letter boxes, or what we normally call postal boxes, were erected. This resulted in a reduction in the number of letter receiving houses, as persons could now post their mail in postal boxes located near their homes. The rural post office served as a hub within communities. It was a place where persons met to buy stamps, post letters, send and receive parcels, collect remittances via postal money orders, and of course, to catch up on the latest news. Little did they know that this local post office would later be so critical to persons traveling to Panama. It was the only medium in which persons had to stay in contact with their families. This resulted in a large influx of mail. However, the post had already established a network to facilitate the receipt of mail by the average Barbadian. By the early 1900s, when jobs were scarce and Barbadians were traveling to England and the USA in search of employment to better their livelihood and that of their families, the post had already established a range of services to meet their demands. It is from this backdrop, ladies and gentlemen, that the post was equipped to facilitate the communication and financial demands of the Panama migrants. Today, due to lack of knowledge, some may seek to refer to the post as snail mail. But for persons back then, this word was non-existent. And for us today, the post, while we understand the thinking, it is still non-existent. The post provided the most accessible and affordable means by which persons could communicate with their families. The receipt of a letter or parcel meant the stability of the family, for without the receipt of such funds, families could be vulnerable when there was no money to meet their financial commitments. Just imagine the fear of families learning of the outbreak of sicknesses and often death of persons in Panama and not being aware if their family member has succumbed to such a fate. I am sure that the receipt of a letter would certainly have been a cause to rejoice. Living in an age of high unemployment, poverty, and low wages render these men helpless to participate in a political system which disenfranchised the majority of its citizens. Furthermore, poor working conditions, housing, sanitation, and healthcare added to the miserable plight of these workers. No doubt they were also inspired by the rumors of possible earnings of $2 when compared to the 20 cents that they were receiving in Barbados. This is just a glimpse of the despair felt by those confronted with these atrocious conditions of the working class in Barbados in that era, that we have managed as a society to move from those bleak conditions to renowned stable democracy, social justice, and relative economic prosperity is due no small measure to the Panama men. Their progressive ideas of society, equity was also brought back by these workers. It is then no wonder that under these conditions, over 45,000 able-bodied men of an estimated population of 171,983 persons left for Panama. Now this mass exodus would impact most households in Barbados, as wives were left without husbands, children without fathers, sisters without brothers, nieces and nephews without uncles. The emotional impact of this void within families was, however, softened by the Inland Postal Service, the original name for the Barbados Postal Service, as families were able to communicate effectively with their loved ones in Panama. Remittances forwarded through the post were critical to families and also increased the revenue of government. It is no doubt, although records are not available, that the impact of this migration would have increased local employment to accommodate the increased volume in mail. Even persons who were challenged, these individuals with their families overseas communicated with them. The movement of money by the post was far more significant than first estimated. And let me say that again. The movement of money by the post was far more significant than first estimated, as this was the main means to forward their remittances. These remittances played a vital role in improving the livelihood of families in Barbados. Funds received through the post are estimated to be around $10 million, $10 million US dollars, and will certainly have impacted on the economic activity within the island, with repairs and construction of homes, purchasing of land, investment in economic activity, just to mention a few. Remittances received through Panama money are credited to have spurred the development of a broader middle class in Barbados. In 1906 and 7, remittances from returnees was estimated to be around £987,690 and it is important to note that this amount exceeded the value of grants from the imperial checker to save plantations on the island. Barbadian laborers had to work very hard for their wages, and this work was very hazardous and life-threatening. Thus, the notion that money was easily attained was certainly not the case, and so the hazardous work associated with the canal gives life to this notion. We are aware that workers lost their lives from premature dynamite explosion, diseases, accidents on the rail used to freight the dirt, or from cave-ins. So when funds were sent through the post, it was the belief that these funds would have been received by the families, and this was certainly the case, as history records the vast sums of remittances received by the citizens. Today, the post still maintains this high reputation for the forwarding of funds. I know, ladies and gentlemen, it will be difficult for you to imagine that the post was so important a medium in transmitting information when we think of the various means of communication available today. However, in the early 1900s, it was far more critical. Today, as strange as it may seem, in some remote places of the world, the post remains the only means of contact with the outside world. And I would like to let you know that where others fail to go, the post will say is vital to the survival of these residents. It may not surprise you then to know that during this period, there was absolutely no alternative provider. The post has a long legacy in delivering quality service. That is why we say, if you place it in our hands, we will get it there. In an era where there was no social media such as Skype, WhatsApp, Facebook, or Twitter, the post performed the critical role of facilitating social mail where people were kept in touch with each other. By now, it should be recognized that we are not like our competitors, whose service is limited to profitability or its closeness to urban centers. We will always be prepared to serve customers wherever they are located. With the vastness of the Panama project and the fact that there was no permanent structures on the site, as houses were constantly moved as the project moved, The Panama Postal Service, under the auspices of the United States Postal Service, made provision for the delivery of postal services, whereby persons could purchase postal money orders, receive mail and parcels, and forward these to their families in Barbados and throughout the region. It must be noted that the Barbados Post formed part of a universal network, even back then. One has to take into account that the Post was not a business enterprise or an economic entity. During this period, as it currently is, its predominant role was that of providing a social service. Hence the cost of the Post was not an issue. The Post in Barbados went beyond the movement of letters. As letter carriers or postmen, known them of today, were prepared to encash postal money orders and post letters for their customers who were unable to travel to the post office. For most of the population, traveling by foot, with the privileged few who might have been able to own a buggy. Looking back, far more significance is seen in the role of the Post during this period. By joining the Universal Postal Union in 1881, the Inland Post became part of the global postal network and paved the way for the cooperation and collaboration with the United States Postal Service as other postal operators throughout the world. This would have undoubtedly benefited Barbadian workers during the Panama migration. At every point in our development, the Post played a vital role of facilitating communication and assisting with the infrastructure development of our country. Before the advent of telephone, the Post provided the main and cheapest form of communication. During this time, life revolved around the postman. Villagers watched eagerly for the arrival of the postman, or listened for his knock on the signal of his arrival as he called out to occupants. Post. The Post facilitated importation of dry goods for hardware stores, as most items were imported through the parcel post section. It also facilitated the forwarding of parcels to Panama, which might have consisted of local remedies for the migrants. And with the expansion of its services in 1908, the Post also moved to the eastern wing of the public building. Now, the role of the Post in facilitating communication and forwarding of remittance did not cease at the end of the construction of the Panama Canal. The Post continued to provide stability to families who remained in Panama as they continued to communicate with their families in Barbados and other countries. Today, 100 years later, at this pivotal time in our history, the Post still has a vital role to play in facilitating the creation and expansion of a thriving business community in Barbados. Today, more than ever before, the Post must chart new waters in forming partnerships with government and private entities to restructure its processes and offer new services in line with the demands of its customers. Today, like the Post of the early 20th century, they must be given the necessary tools to succeed as a contributor to the development of our people and our nation. I thank you.